and I've eaten with him for 3 years. You're dead now. I want to stop and say, lament your death. Ain't no time for that. Ain't no time for that. And shells are hitting men, taking their legs off and going through men and hitting people behind them. And they're still just like order. But this area from the river is like a big pie. Now it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as they're going over that railroad track as we're going to go through next. There are so many stories here that I feel like I'm cheating people not to tell all their stories as well. But General John Adams, he would take a shoulder wound before they crossed that railroad track down there we're going to cross. His staff begged him to leave the field. The 39-year-old brigadier general said, no, I'll see my men through. He was on a horse named Old Charlie, 19-year-old horse named Old Charlie. And Old Charlie would die in this battle. I love animals. Some might think that's weak. I mean, I love animals. And not only that, birds and stuff. I love horses and dogs especially. And I might write a book on horses in the war someday. Forrest had a horse named Roderick that was like a dog. It followed him around the camp, listened to the meetings. He loved that horse. He was killed at Thompson Station, and he had the federal prisoners bury it. We know where it's buried. I think that's the only horse I know of buried during the war. I'm sure there are others, but still, that's the only one I know. Cheatham gave his horse a burial after the war, Isham, and we know that horse is buried as well. Buried his horse Isham, and as well. But I want to give you a perspective of this area. People don't do the middle so much, and I do too, but this area, this eastern flank. And remember, it's a 3-mile battlefront. Now it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Lauren and Wathall got madder than hell at each other because their commands are colliding. And they had words. And Colonel Mike Farrell, his back is to the enemy, sword out, trying to keep his command in line. I'll tell you more about him in his grave. And an officer rode up to him with an order. He says, you tell the general I'm doing the best I can do. And that's keeping them in line, as they're moving down. It's getting smaller forward. That's where we're going to go to next. I think it's important to take you here personally. Are there any questions of any kind?
Didn't that make it a lot easier for the guns at Fort Granger, which could hit these people to just mow them down?
And not only Granger, but those guns right behind that railroad cut. There are 10 guns up there. A battery M, U.S. battery, 1st Ohio battery A. I think so. And they're 12, 3-inch and Napoleons. I mean, they're raking them, just raking them. That's before they even get to the railroad track in that Osage orange hedge. And my big critique here is lack of proper recon. Hood did not perform reconnaissance here, and that's a big, big mistake here. At least could have known about the 10 guns there, much less that Osage orange there, and how this is getting smaller and smaller there. Lauren and Wathall are going to talk about this later. They might be going to have a duel about it or something, because they got pissed off at it. Excuse my language, ladies. Please forget, I get so salty. They got very angry at each other. And this is going on. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Being here in lack of reconnaissance, is that a pattern with him, or is this the first time he really did make it?
He did not perform reconnaissance at a cop farm, that's Atlanta, here in Atlanta, and apparently at Cassville, he thought it was Butterfield's on his right flank. That was dismounted cab, but a staff officer, he was told it was dismounted cab, but he later was right that it's Butterfield. It wasn't Butterfield, that's a fact. But in these two cases, Cobb Sloman here, he didn't perform proper recon, especially the eastern flank. I don't know how much you could perform in the middle, but this over here you sure could. That's my big critique of it here. There were opportunities with that advanced line we're going to develop. There's a human shield. It held out too long. I'm getting ahead of myself, but they're coming toward the main line, the Federals. You're a Federal, I'm a Federal. I'm behind the trenches. You're running toward me. Your Confederates coming behind. How can I shoot? You know, and that's going to be another whole story when we get that middle there like that. Any other questions?
How far to the river from where we are right here?
Well, let's see. It's only about a mile to Fort Granger, and from here, let's see.
Couldn't be more than
no more than
300
400
yards,
350 yards or so. No more than that.
It's about a par 4, short par 5.
Any other questions of any kind?
You were talking about how the opposition as far as selling the topic, how it was,
Who are these people? The golf course thing?
Yeah.
They own this golf course. They made it to an 18-holer. The man begged them not to do that, a member. And then they sold their golf course to a developer, and he would run the golf course, and if he was going to develop it, they give him 2 weeks to buy it back. And they couldn't get the money up, then they thought that was so unfair of them to do that. Well, that's a contract.
Yeah.
And they were adamant then that this wasn't the battlefield, even though tons of art, I know, 10 Confederate belt buckles found behind that willow plunge over there in the 70s. And people come out here at night, hunt all. Hank Williams Jr. Came out here at night and hunted out here and whatever. Yeah, as well. And stuff. Found tons of artifacts out here.
Is it all hunted out now?
There's still stuff here and still stuff to be found, but it's getting harder to find. And people won't let you on the properties like they used to. Yeah.
Bring your Geiger.
Relic hunters are great because they have the info. And they can tell you what was found, what kind of arms were found, what kind of weapons, what kind of ammunition was found. And Park Service is starting to use them a lot now, the information there. Any other questions? Okay, let's mount up. There's a lot of great organizations, but they are the shock troops of preservation. I don't remember now how many acres it's saved, 38, 40,000 acres or something. And by the way, all the money they raise, only 10% goes for overhead, 90% for preservation. 90% for preservation. And they won't come into a place and say something the community doesn't want it, but they'll match dollar for dollar. And Jim Lighthouser and Jim Campy and so many great people are involved. Bear Bryant Jr. or Paul Bryant Jr. They are the shock troops, and I know you know about them, but they were instrumental in saving this area too. And when we get to the middle of the cotton gin, you're going to see a lot of great things are happening, and some great things are happening I can't tell you about yet because it's not completed yet, but it's happening. Whatever, I'm teasing you now, but there's some things I can't tell you yet because it's not completed. But I urge you to support the Civil War Trust. I urge you to do that. Okay. When we were saving the half acre of the Carter Garden, that was part of the Carter House now, they don't have the other acre and a half yet, or not anyway. I just did a handwritten letter to Mr. Lighthouser. Just wrote a handwritten letter. I didn't worry about the grammar really, or anything, or nothing. And hell, he put it in the magazine. I was horrified because I wasn't even worried about my, but out of the 175,000 we had to raise, and round tables like the Austin Round Table in Texas gave 11,000, and other round tables everywhere. I think Louisville Round Table sent money. I'm almost sure of that. But also, people sent $5 in, $10 in. One child forego her birthday party to send the money to the garden. And one man from Brooklyn said, I wish I had more money, but here's $5. I live on a limited income. And it was all over America, Canada, Ireland, England, and every state in America, every state. And about $74,000 or $72,000 came in from those that little handwritten letter that I was embarrassed over when I saw that in the magazine. I said, dear God, they must think I write like Forrest. Forrest was not ignorant, as I've already told you, and he was couldn't write and couldn't read. He read newspapers all the time, but he did say, every time I see a pen, I think of a snake. For the weather, by the way, this is supposed to clear out by midday, 12 o'clock.
Of course, it's wild cat blue.
It's an iridescent wild cat.
It's the Harpeth River. that flows east, east and then north behind the city, flows right by Fort Granger, which will be over there in the distance, a little about 11 o'clock over there. And of course, Stewart's Corps is moving behind you that way, from your left to your right, heading toward that railroad cut and track, and the Osage Orange, etc., etc. Okay, folks, because it's raining, not too bad, but it's raining, and it's supposed to clear out by 12 o'clock. Something that's not planned, but we're going to go to Lotz House, and like you did yesterday for the Ripa Villa. Did you have a good tour there? Yeah. They were very kind there, very nice there. And I'm going to call JT on the way and going to let you go through that site and get you out of the rain. And then maybe we'll see how the weather is and what we're going to do with lunch and whatever. But we're going to go to the Lotz House next. That will be 75 yards south of where Updike's Brigade was in reserves. Updike's Brigade. Matilda Lotz, who had her birthday on November 29th, and then they wake up on November 30th at 4 a.m. with a knock on the door. They were non-combatants. They had no one in the war. They didn't own slaves, but they were affected by this war, as everyone was. This is the railroad cut. By the way, to your right is a railroad cut. We're going to come back here and somehow, and maybe we can pull the bus in right there, but we're going to come back here after lunch. Take a left right here, right here. This will be where the Osage Orange hedge was here. We're going to come back to this area. Absolute hell on earth. Where Feathers' Brigade and Scott's Brigade and Coral's Tennesseans and Shelley's Alabamians, we're going to develop all this after lunch. And certainly the cotton gin. And then this is Stewart Street we're on. We're connected with Adams. There is an Osage Orange tree right there. We're going to go straight. Osage Orange tree right there. Tough tree. We're turning on to Claiborne Street right here. We're going to come back here after lunch and pick all this up. Some great things are occurring here. One, that Yellowstone brick building right there, that's gone, been bought. The house to your left that's not there has been bought. That house is going to leave, that blue house, and this disgusting, pathetic, and despicable Domino Pizza, dear God in heaven, and I say that reverently, all that's going to be is gone. It's already been bought up. $1.8 million for 6/10 of an acre. Take a right here. $1.8 million for 6/10 of an acre. Commercial. But it's gone.
What the next building up there, that business? That's going to be.
That's all gone. Yes, sir. Not only the Domino Pizza, but that thing next door to it, all gone.
Well, what are they going to put in there?
One, open. They want to rebuild the cotton gin and trenches. Two, next to that brown building, there used to be a house here that was bought about a year or 2 years ago. So that's gone. See how this is coming together here? There's other great things occurring, but I can't tell you about it right now because it's not completed. To your left is the garden that we're allowed to walk over there. Now, Rick, slow down. Not here. Matter of fact, turn right here. Yeah, turn right here. Yeah. Excuse me. Just turn in the gravel there, right there. Since we're here. Can you make that in there? Yes, you can. You can pull right in there.
Good job, Rick.
That's why you have a professional.
Park this bucket, just put in oxygen.
I'm going back.
There's stuff right here.